So here I'm going to be doing a review of Thanksgiving, the new slasher horror film that just came out. No, you can never go wrong with centering your horror film on a holiday or an iconic day. The success of Halloween and Friday the 13th speak for themselves. There's also been some smaller stuff like My Bloody Valentine or Black Christmas. I had never seen a horror film centered around Thanksgiving before. I guess there's been a few out there, but I've never seen one personally. When the TV commercial started rolling and showcased that a new horror film, specifically a slasher film, was coming out centering around Thanksgiving, I was immediately intrigued. Just because I've always said that slasher films, even though they can be basic, to me are the most easy to enjoy kind of horror. And this movie had some great stuff in the posters and marketing, like the tagline saying, "There will be no leftovers," or "That's not cranberry sauce," just great stuff for Thanksgiving. I had really just seen flashes of what the film was about based on the commercials, and I got the gist that it was a guy in a pilgrim mask and outfit butchering a bunch of folks, classic slasher style. The actual premise of the movie, after seeing it, isn't really too far off from that. Following a chaotic and fatal evening on a Thanksgiving/Black Friday shopping event, a killer in a pilgrim mask takes their vengeance by going after and killing all those involved in classic slasher fashion. Recently, slasher films have been taking a whodunit approach with their killer, rather than just having an iconic named monster. Recently the Happy Death Day films did this with the whodunit approach to its slasher and killer. No matter the approach that you take with this movie, you still get the typical slasher pacing and execution here. A killer, gradual build-up in terms of chaos about every 10 minutes or so, and then every 10 minutes someone getting their butt whooped in brutal, often in very red fashion. The movie follows the typical slasher template just fine. As I mentioned, the initial hook of the movie is a very chaotic Black Friday type scene, which in all honesty isn't that far off from how these type of shopping nights can sometimes go. But it's a really fun scene that really has some hard-hitting moments like, ooh, goddamn. Hopefully this movie can keep up some of this kind of action right here. Now, unlike subpar horror films I've seen this year, like Megan to some degree, and especially the recent craptastic Five Nights at Freddy's, this movie is rated R, meaning all the debauchery and killings are in full non-family friendly red glory. There's some fun kills in this. With slasher films, it's all about getting creative when it comes to this kind of stuff. There's a trampoline kill here that was pretty creative, something I hadn't seen before, and a few worthy Thanksgiving type kills, appropriate and very good for this movie. As I mentioned, the actual killer, the pilgrim here, has a whodunit type mystery around him. Five Nights at Freddy's showed how not to do whodunit mystery and reveal. I hate to keep piling on that movie for those who liked it, but it really was that bad. This movie, though, has a whole lot of suspects that'll make you wonder who actually is the one doing the killings. There's enough suspects here, enough plausible suspects with motivation to where, I'm pretty sure that's the person that's doing it, but I'm not 100% sure because this person could be behind it also. It did keep me guessing, and will definitely keep a whole lot of other audiences guessing to the end. The problem is that the pilgrim character is obviously at its most effective when it's just, that character and the identity isn't shown. Once that mask is taken off and it's just a person, it's not obviously not as effective. It's not like you take that mask off and it's an ugly motherfucker like Jason behind it. It's just a person. Admittedly, it does begin to feel really silly when these horror type sequences are still taking place. Thankfully, though, this isn't a majority of the film, it's just a small, tiny section. This was the major part of the movie that I definitely wasn't a big fan of. But a majority of the film I actually did think was a fun, decent Thanksgiving horror film. Obviously having a horror film centered around Thanksgiving, you want some good theming, holiday spirit to that degree and all that. And this movie definitely did it. Like I mentioned, there are some very good Thanksgiving type kills, like seeing someone get roasted turkey style and just the type of flair and all that kind of holiday spirit you'd want to see during Thanksgiving, obviously done in a very slasher horror type fashion. But it makes the most of sort of getting into that holiday and makes for a fun, nice touch for this movie. Besides the ending, obviously, the movie has decent execution, and the Thanksgiving theme was definitely a nice touch. Obviously, usually in these type of reviews, I have a section where I talk about the characters and all that kind of stuff. For a slasher film like this, they are what they are, but thankfully none of them are just downright bad or unwatchable, and that goes for the movie also. even though there may be parts where it's not great, with the exception of some parts at the end. There's not a whole lot of parts here where it's just flat out terrible or unwatchable. It's good for what it is, so it'll end up getting a 7 out of 10 from me. Like I said, it's fun to sort of have a horror slasher film centered around Thanksgiving, obviously appropriate enough during the week that Thanksgiving is going to happen. There might be juice here, enough juice to maybe do one more sequel, but without spoiling anything, due to the actual killer in this, it's hard to see how you could have a story stretch out from this one for too long, but you never know. So that'll do it for this review of Thanksgiving. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.